Hello, I'm Michael for GameWatcher.com and welcome to our review of the new Total War Warhammer DLC, Realm of the Wood Elves, which was developed by Creative Assembly and published by Sega. Realm of the Wood Elves is the latest in a host of DLC for Total War Warhammer. This time it is focused on the Wood Elves and brings the faction to the already expanded roster of the Total War Warhammer game. And surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, it is a fantastic addition to the game. The Wood Elves have an entire full roster of new units, including everything from elven archers to elven swordsmen to, of course, the mighty treemen and forest spirits and dryads. All of the units look absolutely fantastic with great animations and great visuals. As has been the precedent with Total War Warhammer when it comes to factions and grand campaigns, the elves once again have unique racial choices and faction mechanics that determine their style of play in both overworld gameplay and in the midst of combat. In terms of campaign overworld gameplay, the elves are very unique from anything that has come before. Regardless of which sub-faction of the Wood Elves you play as, your sole goal is to focus your attention around the Oak of Ages, which is a world tree which all power stems from, and it's about protecting that tree, and that tree works very much like a settlement, just without upgradable buildings and the ability to garrison troops there. In fact, what it is a center point of expansion. This means that you must protect the tree at all times. So regardless of how far you've expanded, if an enemy creeps through and destroys the Oak of Ages, your game is completely over. On top of this is, of course, the faction resource Amber. Amber is used to not only upgrade the Oak of Ages, but it's also used to purchase elite units and various technology on the technology tree. You acquire Amber by acquiring new settlements, and expansion works very differently for the elves than it does in any other faction. Wood Elves can actually take over any type of settlement, so it doesn't matter if it's a human town or a dwarven carrack. You can occupy any settlement. However, the settlements work differently, so any settlement that is not in the forest of the Wood Elves is used as an outpost, where you can build a tier 1 outpost and attach a specific building to it, and that's all you can ever do with any settlement that is not within the Wood Elf realm. This is balanced by the fact that each city in the Elven realm has multiple more options available in terms of expansion, so you're able to build a lot more buildings on a single city than you are for, say, playing as the Empire. These expansion mechanics mean that the actual overall expansion and overworld territorial gameplay is far slower to that of, say, something like the Orcs or the Humans or pretty much any other faction in Total War Warhammer. Alongside playing the Wood Elves in the Grand Campaign comes their own separate story campaign, which focuses more on the realm of the Wood Elves themselves, and it adds a ton of towns. The map is still fairly large for that separate campaign and has a few unique events and story moments that are well worth playing through. In terms of combat, the Elven forces favour ranged combat, and while they do have some impressive melee units, especially the monstrous tree infantry, the majority of your damage dealing ability is going to come from your varied ranged units. Now, each Elven ranged unit has a special type of attack, so you can have poison archers, you can have armor piercing archers, and there's a multitude to select from and a multitude to upgrade. Now, like I've said, all of the character models look fantastic, and the unit variety within the elves themselves is pretty impressive. Each unit has a very specific role, its advantages and disadvantages, but overall, having the entire roster already full rather than just reskinning a few of the units from other factions means that the elves feel completely unique, and while it does take a little bit of time to get used to them, especially the fast-paced nature of the elves, it is something that is well worth playing, and adopting new strategies and tactics to be able to play to the elven strengths is something that is a lot of fun. When it comes to legendary lords, there are of course two new legendary lords. One is Durthu, a giant Eldar forest spirit who is absolutely kick-ass with a giant sword, and the other is of course King in the Woods, the King Orion, who regularly dies and comes back to life again to start the wild hunt, where he goes off and slays lots of people with his ranged spear. Now the great thing about Orion in particular is that he's both a powerful ranged and melee unit, so he can play dual roles in that respect, and both legendary lords have some pretty damn powerful spells. When it comes to their campaign and combat gameplay styles, the elves are fantastic, they're unique, and they feel very fresh. Ultimately, I would certainly recommend that if you're brand new to Total War Warhammer, that you avoid playing the elves until you've grasped the general mechanics of the game, but for experienced players, they will be a nice deserved breath of fresh air from what has came before. Now I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that the game has encountered some technical difficulties with the latest update and the DLC. Many users are unable to even launch the game, and the way to fix this, if you have mods, is to turn the mods off. Creative Assembly have narrowed down the fact that the majority of problems being encountered with Realm of the Wood Elves DLC is to do with out-of-date mods, so make sure that if you're trying to play the new DLC to turn all your mods off. Overall, however, it is a fantastic DLC package. It's unique, it's fun, it's fast paced, and it's different from what has came before in terms of faction expansions. I certainly recommend it. It's well worth playing. You're definitely going to get your money's worth out of it. It's going to give you, another 20, 30, 40, if not more hours worth of gameplay just from playing the faction alone. And that's it for our Realm of the Wood Elves DLC review. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and head on over to GameWatcher.com for more.